Today we're going to be going over my top 10 fall designer fragrance choices for 2024. We're finally getting a break from the heat here. We're getting some really nice cooler days, temperatures being in the 70s and low 80s and getting down to a pretty chilly temperature at night and in the morning as well. So this is kind of where I really start working some of these into the rotation. You know, every now and then in September you'll get a day where it gets hot and then I'll switch back over to something else. But now we're starting to really work in some cooler weather scents. So depending on where you live, you know, the weather is going to be doing different things, but maybe this will give you a little bit of a head start if you want to pick some things up before fall hits, or maybe you're already in the middle of it right now. Like I said, we're going with all designer releases here, so this is going to be pretty affordable. At least we're not getting into some super expensive niche stuff here. I think the most expensive thing is 140 bucks, which is a designer, but everything else for the most part is going to be a lot more reasonable. So I'll link everything down below so you can pick these up, buy them if you're looking for full bottles. If you're looking for samples, you can check out my website, which is linked down below as well. We're building up a collection of decants if you just want to try before you buy. Okay, let's get things kicked off with number 10, Versace Eros Flame. Really love this stuff. It's, to me, a fantastic take on Eros where it just isn't as minty and sweet and overpowering in that way. Using a lot of orange and lemon here with some black pepper, a lot of vanilla and tonka bean as well. So I find it to actually be a little bit more smooth and creamy and just less potent and less in your face like the original Eros is, and the Eau de Parfum and even the Parfum. I would kind of more so view Eros EDP and Parfum and the original as like a winter scent above everything else, just given the power and the intensity behind it and just how sweet it is, which I think this one is still very sweet, but there is a bit of an aromatic citrus component as well, which lightens it up a little bit, making this perfect for fall because it's just having a little bit of freshness for those days where it is a bit warmer and the sun's out, but then it has some sweetness. So in the evening or in the morning when you have this one on, it kind of can work well with that too. Stuff is great. It was one where when I first got it, I thought it was fine. But over the years, I've grown to love this stuff more and more. You know, I bought the big old bottle back when I first got it, which is going to last me a lifetime. But really, I'm glad I have this bottle size because I know I'll never run out. And with how much I've been starting to like it over the years, I'm happy with that. It's pretty affordable online too. I think discounted-wise, you're looking at $50 or $60. So not bad at all. Great performance as well. Just a lot to love about Eros Flame. Okay, we're going to go on to number 9 with Hugo Boss The Scent Le Parfum. It's got iris, maninka fruit, leather, and woody notes. I love this line. The maninka fruit is what makes all of these stand out against all of the other designer and niche fragrances on the market. This is not a very common note, and this line in particular has utilized it heavily, which I think is a good thing because it's something different, and these all stand out in their own way. Now, there's not a ton of redundancy within this line, you know, so if you go with the original or Private Accord or Absolute or Le Parfum and so on, they all kind of do their own thing. I really like the leather addition here with the iris. Those are two things that kind of separate this one from some of the others, but then, of course, you get the signature maninka fruit, which smells amazing. It's kind of like a slight sweet fruitiness that just gives off this cooler weather appeal. You know, I think overall this scent is made for the cooler times of the year, and especially fall. You know, I think winter time it would definitely work, but I would have some other options lined up instead. I think this one is great for when the temperatures are kind of more so in the middle. Moving on to number 8, we have Dior Sauvage Elixir. So this is by far the most expensive option in this list. You know, it retails for $180. But on discounters, you know, for this bottle size, the 60 ml, you're looking at somewhere around 140-ish or so, I believe is where it's at. You can get the 100 ml bottles now on discounters for like $220, so that is a better deal. You know, the price per milliliter is significantly lower, but that's still a lot of out-of-pocket money, especially for a designer scent and for something that is a Sauvage. And that's where people get hung up on this one. Yes, it is a Sauvage fragrance, but it smells nothing like Sauvage. This one's got lavender, nutmeg, cinnamon, licorice, sandalwood, and cardamom. It's a warm, spicy scent through and through. That's what it's all about. All those notes I listed off, you really pick up on. And again, that's what this one is about. Warm spices and woods from start to finish. You're not getting ambroxan, you're not getting a bunch of bergamot and pepper and just the usual suspects found in Sauvage EDT and EDP and even the Parfum. None of that's going on. So many people dislike Sauvage given the fact that it isn't all that unique, right? And it's not all that exciting. But this is one that even Sauvage haters have come to appreciate, which is pretty cool. So they definitely knew what they were doing here, and I'm all for it. I think it's a great release. Expensive. Now you can get Latafa Assad for around $20 to $25, which is about as close as you can get to this one at an absolute fraction of the cost, right? So you don't need to go in for a full bottle. You can get a clone, and there are other clones out there as well that are good. You can also buy a sample of this one as well and try it. It's one of those things where you can't get away from this, right? It's popular now. It's going to continue to be popular for years to come. You're going to hear about it all the time. And if you haven't tried it, you're always going to be left wondering, what does Sauvage Elixir smell like? Definitely something to try at some point. And I think it's great for fall. The warm spices and the woods working together here, it just makes it great for this time of year. Winter and early spring, great as well. I'm not really touching this stuff in summertime. On to number 7, we have Herrera Bad Boy Extreme. It's got cacao, patchouli, incense, and tonka bean. So kind of a nice chocolatey, smoky, woody, sweet scent. That is far better than I ever expected it to be. And it's also far better than the original. I don't really think the original is worth buying, at least for me, when you have these flankers available to you. You know, not only this one, but the Le Parfum, Bad Boy Le Parfum, is great as well. It kind of has a bit of a green herbal smell to it, which is also a good choice for fall too, maybe even springtime, cooler spring days. But this one is probably my favorite in the line. I think it's really good. And again, it's so much different than the original. So even if you're not a fan of the original, this one doesn't really smell like it, and it's a big improvement. You know, I've never gotten to really enjoy the original one, and it's fine for a big compliment puller, but this one does offer a lot more of a unique and exciting approach. Next up, we have Stronger With You Tobacco by Emporio Armani. This one has tobacco, vanilla, and chestnut. You know, no surprise, tobacco, because it's in the title. And chestnut is also kind of an obvious one because that is used throughout pretty much the entire line, except for maybe one or two that they didn't include it, or at least they didn't include it in the marketing notes, but maybe it was still there. And so it's a pretty common note. It's being used a lot just because of the fact that it kind of gives off a gourmand, sweet, and very appealing smell. Also used heavily in Replica by the Fireplace. Sometimes it can give a little bit of a slight smoky woodiness too, depending on how it's used and what it's used with. So it's a pretty diverse note, again, that is really, really fitting for something like this. And the tobacco is not crazy strong, but it is prominent. So what I should say is it's a pretty wearable and designer level tobacco that you do pick up on a lot. But it's not something that is so smoky and so harsh that it might be off-putting. You're not smelling like tobacco, like a cigarette or a cigar or something like that. It's just a nice, mild tobacco that carries on throughout the life of the scent. I'm a big fan of tobacco fragrances, so when I saw this one being launched, I was already excited, and I wasn't for sure what they were going to do with it. I thought that maybe it was going to be a bit of a marketing gimmick, and they were going to throw in a little bit of tobacco, but not a ton. And that's not the case. They really do a good job of focusing on that note, like in the title, which I love to see. Okay, now we're breaking into the top 5. This is where it always gets a bit more challenging for me. Just in general, to narrow down a video like this to 10 can be tough. But then once you get into top 5 and more so ranking them, you know, that's where it gets hard. So these could change tomorrow, right? Or the next day. It might move around a little bit. But as of right now, these are kind of what I'm feeling. And these are going to be in pretty high rotation for me this fall, at least as far as these designers go. Number 5, we have L'Homme Eau de Parfum by YSL, which I just think is amazing. I mean, I've talked about this one a lot. Such a great partner to the original L'Homme, which came out years ago. It's got cognac, bitter orange, and oak in here. You still get that nice mature L'Homme DNA, but with a nice sweet, woody, and slightly boozy twist. You know, they really kind of amped up the sweetness here and gives it more of a fall feeling, a little bit more of a nighttime feeling, and just actually a little bit more of a kind of slightly mysterious smell to it as well. Whereas the original is very much an daytime wear, gentleman scent, signature scent. This one has a nice nighttime appeal, you know, and the great thing about them is you could wear the original during the day when you're going out and doing what you have to do. But then in the evening, you can spray this one on over top and they layer perfectly together. And I also think the original Loam is a great fall scent as well. If I had to choose one time a year for that one, it would be fall. But I think this one also really excels in the season of autumn. When it's not too hot, not too cold, kind of right down the middle, this one is perfect. Performance is not going to be as strong as some of the others in here because so far there's been quite a few beast mode scents. But it's a gentleman's kind of respectful performing scent. You know, it's not in your face, it's not crazy loud, but it still gets the job done. And number 4, we have Azzaro Pour Homme Intense, one that I was very sad about for a while because you couldn't get it like anywhere, sold out. I believe it is discontinued, but FragranceNet has had this in stock for quite a while now. Testers, 100 ml testers. And so for right now anyways, at the time of me putting this video out, you can get it. This one's got brandy, cinnamon, and some tonka bean in here. Just a nice, warm, spicy, boozy approach on the original, which is an aromatic fougere focusing a lot on lavender. Still getting some of that lavender in here, but it's significantly sweeter than the original, which I love because, I don't know. I feel like barbershop style aromatic fougères are kind of a dime a dozen, but a lot of them do also run together and smell kind of the same, and kind of always felt that with the Azzaro Pour Homme. But this one, it really spices it up, no pun intended, in a great way that is by far perfect for fall. I would wear it in winter, that would work. This is a fall scent through and through for me. Definitely get a bottle of this while you can because it's not going to be around forever. It's something where backup bottles might not be a bad idea. Number 3, we have Ultra Male. So I believe last year this placed at number 2. So it kind of dropped down one spot because I really bumped something else up here to the top at number 1, something a bit newer. So yeah, this one still holding strong in the top 5 though. This has been a staple fall scent of mine ever since the beginning. I mean, you can go back to the very beginning of my channel talking about fall and winter scents because I started in the fall. I think actually we're coming up on like my 7 years on YouTube because I started in September of 2017. So that's pretty cool. And obviously starting at that time of year, I was talking about cooler weather scents, and this has always been one. Has pear, vanilla, some cinnamon in here. It's really the pear note that makes this one stand out. Tonka vanilla going on. I think I already said vanilla, but it's incredible. It's super sweet, and it's very strong and very loud and very playful smelling. But that's what I love about it. It's almost one of those things where it's like, I shouldn't like this. I have so many other fragrances that just do things differently. You wouldn't really think this would be up my aisle, right? But it is, and I've always loved it, and especially for fall. Given the level of sweetness that it has, a lot of people probably think it's more of a winter scent, and it probably is. But for me, there's something about it that just smells like this time of year. I don't know what it is, but I love it. Number 2, we have Afnan Tarathi Brown. So it was going to be Rochas Mustache Eau de Parfum. It's been placing in these videos for years. I'm going to substitute this one in to give you something a bit different. But really what it is the YSL Tuxedo DNA, which YSL Tuxedo is amazing, but of course it's very expensive, $250 plus even on discounters. This is, I think, it's under 40. I think you can get to 35, maybe 37. And it's very close. You're getting the patchouli, you're getting the spices, which is what Tuxedo is all about. This smell, this DNA, is one of the most fall-smelling smells that I have ever experienced. It's true. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but it is for me. And it's really something where I don't wear it in wintertime. It's just, it doesn't feel right. And I'm wearing other things. When I really wear this one the most is fall, and I try to wear it as much as I can because where we're at here, fall can be a bit of a short-lived season. It almost goes from like summer, really hot, to fall for a little while, but then it just quickly goes into super cold winter temperatures. So whenever I have the opportunity to wear this DNA, I am. And number 1, what's it gonna be? I think this one has just been a great release. I think it makes sense. And it's been a favorite of mine. Gentleman Eau de Parfum Reserve Privé by Givenchy. It's got whiskey, chestnut, iris. It's basically what this one is in a nutshell, and some other notes as well, woods, tonka, things like that. But it's kind of an alcohol-focused take on the eau de parfum, which is done beautifully here. Everything about it, it's mixed together really well. Great blend, great quality, great performance out of this one. Nothing to dislike about it for me, because this is what I'm into. But this might not be everybody's favorite thing. If you don't like iris, you don't like chestnut kind of gourmand style, and you don't like scents with a bit of a whiskey touch, you're not going to like this one. It has all of that going on. But I know a lot of you guys are into that. And I think this is by far the best in the Gentleman line. It's just really, really good. And on discounters, it's under $100 now, and I think sometimes even a bit less than $90. And so it's a great time to buy. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. My top 10 fall designer fragrances for this year. Let me know down below, what fall fragrances are you going to be wearing? You can give off a list of 10 or more, or you can only give off a couple, whatever you want to do. Let me know. Like I said, I'll have links to these full bottles down below, or you could shop my website and pick up a few samples. I don't have everything on the website yet, so you're not going to be able to get all these there in sample form, but we're working to add to it every day. One thing that's setting us apart from the others is we're offering free samples in every order. So like you buy a decant and you get a free extra sample in every order, even if you're placing an item order for one small item. We're doing that. We run the fragrance sweepstakes often. So when one is running and you purchase a sample, every dollar spent gets you entered into that big bundle that you could win, and trying to turn around the orders as quick as we can. So if you want to try some things without spending a ton of money, check us out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.